Commerce Alive Today presents
TGI Fridays. (1965), Alan Stillman opened the first TGI Fridays restaurant in Manhattan. He lived on 63rd Street between 1st and York Avenues, in a neighborhood with many airline stewardesses, fashion models, secretaries, and other young, single people on the east side of Manhattan near the Queensboro Bridge. He hoped that opening a bar would help him meet women. Stillman's choices for socializing were non-public cocktail parties or guys' beer-drinking hangout bars that women usually would not visit. He recalled that there was no public place for people between, say, 23 to 37 years old, to meet. He sought to recreate the comfortable cocktail party atmosphere in public despite having no experience in the restaurant business. With $5,000 of his own money and $5,000 borrowed from his mother, Stillman purchased a bar he often visited, the Good Tavern at the corner of 63rd Street and 1st Avenue, and renamed it TGI Fridays after the expression "Thank God It's Friday." From his years at Bucknell University, the restaurant opened on March 15, 1965, serving standard American cuisine, bar food, and alcoholic beverages, and emphasized food quality and preparation. The exterior featured a red and white striped awning in blue paint. The gay 90s interior included Tiffany-style lamps, wooden floors, bentwood chairs, and striped tablecloths, and the bar area added brass rails and stained glass. The employees were young men, handsome jocks in form-fitting red and white striped soccer shirts. When a patron was celebrating a birthday, the entire restaurant crew came around with a cake and sang TGI Fridays' traditional birthday song. Footage of interviews with patrons from this TGI Fridays was featured in Robert Downey Sr.'s film No More Excuses. The first location closed in 1994 and became a British-style pub called Baker Street. Although Malachi McCourt's nearby Malachi's Singles Bar preceded TGI Fridays and Stillman credited the media for creating the term, he had unintentionally created one of the first singles bars. It benefited from the near-simultaneous availability of the birth control pill and Betty Friedan's book The Feminine Mystique. I don't think there was anything else like it at the time. Before TGI Fridays, 4 single 25-year-old girls were not going out on Friday nights, in public and with each other, to have a good time. They went to people's apartments for cocktail parties, or they might go to a real restaurant for a date or for somebody's birthday, but they weren't going out with each other to a bar for a casual dinner and drinks because there was no such place for them to go. TGI Fridays was one of the first to use promotions such as Ladies' Night, and Stillman achieved his hopes of meeting women. Have you seen the movie Cocktail? Tom Cruise played me. Why do girls want to date the bartender? To this day, I'm not sure that I get it. He and the restaurant benefited from its location. According to Stillman, 480 stewardesses lived in the apartment building next door and received publicity in national magazines. TGI Fridays became so popular that it had to install ropes to create an area for those waiting in line, also unusual at the time for a restaurant. A competitor, Maxwell's Plum, opened across the street, and others soon followed. With fellow Bucknell University graduate Ben Benson, Stillman opened other restaurants, including Tuesdays, Thursdays, Wednesdays, and Ice Cream Sundays. Franchising of TGI Fridays began 2 years after the Manhattan location opened, in a since-closed location in Memphis, Tennessee's Overton Square district. In 1971, Daniel R. Scoggin acquired the rights to 8 major Midwest cities. In 1972, he opened with the first of a new prototype in Dallas. The raised square bar and multi-level dining became the company standard. Dallas doubled the sales and tripled profits of TGI Fridays' previous best. Families began visiting the new suburban locations during the day for casual food. It took 6 or 7 years, but TGI Fridays became a very different animal, Stillman said. Attracted by this performance, he merged into the Dallas franchise, forming TGI Fridays Incorporated, and Scoggin was the CEO for the next 15 years. Scoggin is credited with the then new 200-seat prototype and many of the TGI Fridays innovations, including a large from-scratch menu, potato skins, bartender Olympics, and frozen drinks. In 1975, the company was sold to Carlson Companies, and Stillman and the original investors departed. Stillman kept the original location and, now married, founded Smith & Wollensky in 1977 with Benson. Scoggin continued as CEO on an earn-out contract and finalized his sale in 1980, signing a new contract to continue as the company's CEO. When the company was passing through the 100-store mark, it issued an initial public offering in 1983 with Goldman Sachs. Skagen developed the first international franchise and the template for future international development. The first restaurant was opened in the UK with Whitbread plc. By the time Skagen departed in 1986, the company had widened its appeal, alcohol consumption was de-emphasized, and quality was emphasized over quantity. The company became privately held again in 1989. The focus was then switched from singles to families. A brand extension, combining the TGI Fridays concept with the atmosphere of a sports bar, called Fridays Front Row Sports Grill, is found at two Major League Baseball stadiums which each overlook the playing field, Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona and Miller Park in Milwaukee. There was also a Fridays Front Row Grill for a few seasons at Globe Life Park, then the Texas Rangers home field. The chain peaked in 2008, having 601 restaurants in the U.S. generating $2 billion in revenue. By 2023, sales had fallen to $728 million. In October 2009, Haymarket broke the world record for biggest profit made in any week throughout TGI Fridays history, and it has been home to several past winners from the Bartenders Olympics, a contest started by Skagen. On May 20, 2014, TGI Fridays was resold to Sentinel Capital Partners and Tri-Artisan Capital Partners. In October 2019, Tri-Artisan bought out Sentinel's remaining stake. Allegro merger began working towards taking Fridays public in 2019, buying it away from MFP Partners and Tri-Artisan Capital, but withdrawing in April 2020. Utz Quality Foods entered a marketing agreement with Inventure Foods in 2017 to use the TGI Fridays name for some of its snacks. In the UK, TGI Fridays rebranded to Fridays, dropping the TGI prefix during 2020. About 3 years later, the naming reverted to TGI Fridays. In March 2022, the first Fridays & Go, a takeaway and quick service version of TGI Fridays, launched in Dundee, Scotland. Despite initial plans to open up to 30 other branches, it remained the sole example until it closed in October 2024 following the sale of the bankrupt UK franchise. In October 2023, the operator of all of the TGI Fridays locations in Brazil, South Rock Capital, declared bankruptcy, continuing to operate most TGI Fridays locations normally while closing a few underperforming ones, while restructuring through the bankruptcy procedure. On January 4, 2024, the U.S. chain abruptly closed 36 underperforming restaurants and sold 8 more to former CEO Ray Blanchette. Most employees were offered transfer to other locations. In April 2024, Fridays entered an agreement to combine U.S. franchises with those in the UK and go public on the London Stock Exchange. The franchises were run by Osmore LLC and sold by MFP Partners. Fridays entered a licensing agreement with Kraft Heinz in May 2024 to sell Fridays branded appetizers in supermarkets. In September 2024, Osmore LLC, the operator of the UK chain, went into administration, putting an estimated 4,500 jobs at risk. Captain UK and Burial Capital acquired 51 sites a month later, but excluded 35 sites which closed with immediate effect, resulting in the loss of 1,012 jobs. On October 19, 2024, TGI Fridays announced it was seeking financing as it warned that it was preparing to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States within the coming weeks. The company blamed its failed turnaround caused by rising interest rates, increased competition and heavy debt. On November 2, 2024, TGI Fridays filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company's press release specifically cited its capital structure as one primary driver of its bankruptcy filing.
Out here, it's Monday. In here, it's Friday. Friday. Tuesday. Friday. Wednesday. Ooh, Thursday.
You think you know Fridays? Well, you don't know Jack Shrimp, lightly breaded and served with our great Jack Grill entrees. The new Jack Shrimp, in here at Fridays.
Take the rest of the week off.
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.